Long before we drew maps on paper, the first map was drawn for us in fire across the infinite canvas of the night. Before we had language to speak of destiny, the first stories were told in the silent, glittering arrangements of the constellations. Humanity was born looking up, our necks craned in a mixture of awe and fear, seeking answers in the cold, distant light. We have always known, on some instinctual level, that we are not separate from that cosmic ocean. We are adrift in it, and in our most lost moments, when the shores of certainty have vanished and we are surrounded by a featureless dark, we still look up, hoping to find the stars that guide the lost. Imagine the first navigator, a soul of immense courage, pushing their simple wooden vessel away from the safety of the shore into an ocean that, to them, had no end. Imagine the terror of the first night, when the familiar coastline dissolved into a memory, and all that remained was the terrifying, beautiful emptiness of the sea and the sky. There was no compass, no chart, only the whispers of tradition and a profound, desperate faith. For these ancient sailors, the stars were not mere points of light. They were companions, gods, ancestors. They were a living, breathing map. The steady, unwavering light of the North Star was a promise, a single point of certainty in a world of chaos. The rising of one constellation and the setting of another marked the passage of time, the turning of the seasons, the rhythm of their own fragile lives. To navigate by the stars was not a science. It was a sacred dialogue. It was an act of profound humility, an admission that their fate was tied to this immense, silent, celestial clockwork. They did not conquer the ocean. They asked for its permission, and they listened for the sky's reply. As we built civilizations, our gaze remained fixed on the heavens, but our questions began to change. On the tops of great ziggurats in dusty, windswept lands, the first astrologer priests spent their lives charting the slow, deliberate dance of the planets, the wandering stars. They saw more than just a map for navigation. They saw a map of time itself, a blueprint for the human soul. They believed our lives were not separate from this celestial ballet, but were in fact a direct reflection of it. A life began not at birth, but at the first breath, a moment that imprinted the signature of the cosmos onto a newborn soul. The stern, patient light of Saturn taught of structure and endings. The brilliant, fiery heart of Mars spoke of passion and conflict. The gentle, luminous glow of Venus whispered of love and beauty. The constellations were not just patterns of animals and heroes. They were immense, sleeping archetypes, divine dramas playing out over millennia. And our own small lives were the stages upon which their influence was felt. This was the birth of destiny, the idea that our journey, our character, our very purpose, was written in starlight before we ever knew our own name. But we have grown up, and we believe we have outgrown such stories. Our cities have become so bright, they have created a new, artificial sky of hazy orange, a veil that has blinded us to the cosmos. We navigate our world with satellites that whisper directions into our ears. We have replaced the profound mystery of the unknown with the cold certainty of data. We are more connected than ever, yet we have never been more lost. The modern lost are not sailors on a dark sea, but souls adrift in a sea of noise, of expectation, of meaningless information. We have forgotten the language of the night sky. We have forgotten how to be guided. We feel a deep, unnamed loneliness. The loneliness of a child who can no longer see the familiar, comforting lights of home. I was one of them, adrift in a life that felt chartless. I felt the call of that ancient silence. I traveled far, away from the glow of the cities, to a place of true darkness. A high desert plateau where the air was thin and cold, and the sky, they said, was so clear it would break your heart. On the first night, as the last vestiges of twilight faded and the true night emerged, I looked up, and I was unprepared. It was not the sparse sprinkling of stars I knew from my city life. It was a deluge, a brilliant, terrifying, overwhelming river of light, the Milky Way, spilling across the entire expanse of the sky. There were so many stars they seemed to be layered, creating an impossible sense of depth. I felt a primal vertigo, a sense of my own absolute, crushing insignificance. I was a single grain of sand looking at an infinite beach. What could my small life, my small sorrows, possibly mean in the face of this? The ancient fear returned, the fear of being utterly, completely lost in a cosmos too vast to comprehend. I searched for the familiar patterns, the constellations from old books, but here, in their full glory, they were lost in a crowd of 1 billion other suns. For a long time, I tried to read the sky, to find my story written there, to find a sign, a direction, a single star that would tell me where to go. But there was only a profound, majestic, and utterly indifferent silence. And in that silence, I finally stopped trying to read, and I began to listen. The revelation did not come as a whisper or a vision. It came as a change in understanding. The starlight that touched my face had traveled for thousands, even millions of years to complete its journey. It was a relic of a past so ancient, I could not imagine it. That light was not a command. It was a testament. It was proof that light can endure across unimaginable distances and through absolute darkness. It was a story of resilience. I realized the stars were not a map to a single pre-written destiny. A map has only one destination. The sky has infinite possibilities. The constellations were not a set of instructions, but a set of inspirations. A reminder of the great stories of heroes, monsters, and lovers that we all carry within us. The purpose of the stars was not to tell me which path to take. It was to remind me that I had the courage to choose a path and to walk it. Destiny is not the star you are assigned to follow. Destiny is the star you choose to be your own. It is the act of picking one single point of light in the overwhelming darkness and saying, "That is my direction." It does not matter if it is the brightest star or the most famous. All that matters is that it is yours. This is the guidance the stars offer, not the certainty of a destination, but the courage to navigate the journey. We may no longer need the stars to cross our oceans, but we need them more than ever to navigate our lives. To find your own North Star is the sacred work of a lifetime. It is not a star in the sky, but a value in your heart. It is the principle, the dream, the love, or the purpose that provides your direction when all other lights go out. To be guided is not to be controlled. It is to be oriented. I left that desert with the river of light imprinted on my soul. I returned to the hazy glow of the city, but it no longer seemed so overwhelming. For I knew that beyond that veil of orange, the silent, majestic map was still there. And within me, I now carried my own small piece of it. We all do. The next time you feel lost, step away from the noise. Find a patch of darkness. Look up. And do not ask for a map. Simply choose a star and begin the journey.